All right. I'm going to add my 2 cents on this because some other people brought it up on my page. Because, like I said, Destiny, I'm subscribed to him. His stuff comes up. His channel is just weird to me. The shit with what looks like a Sim City in the background. I don't know what the fuck that's about. Every time I open up his channel, he's got all these things going on in the background. I don't know. I don't know what his channel is about. It's just every once in a while he'll have a topic. It'll be a live chat. I click on it. I listen. And, it's kind of interesting because I'm like, okay, there's, a white person and then there's black people on there. I heard Abba went over there and they're talking about black issues. But then at the same time, and, sometimes, he'll, Disney will defend the black community or something. And then other times there's like pop shots and like low key disses and shit. Like it's very messy over there. On top of the fact that, if I was moderating and I was the host, I would be muting everybody. Like, shut the fuck up. Like, the having people talk over each other is not a good show. It's just not a good show. They're doing the same bullshit that used to happen, years ago on Blog Talk Radio. It's not a good show. If people are yelling and screaming over each other and nobody's letting the other person finish the point. So anyway, there's this chick on there, Annalicia, which sounds like a Spanish name. Um, I don't know whether she's a self-identified black woman or not, but from the picture that I saw and the video that she did the other day, where it was a, live video, I'm like, this chick is like she's in the light skin exotical category. So I don't even understand or get where she comes off talking about she's a black woman with her name being Annalicia. But anyway, she's basically regurgitating, crystalline Karazin talking points, right? And it's always interesting listening to this. Everybody's bringing up Kevin Samuels and his talking points and the discussions about the black community and everything, and I'm listening to the language that she's using and the phrases that I'm like, I've been battling for this for fucking what, 12 15 years, whatever it is. I've been battling these type of talking points since forever. And I noticed that when it comes to the women who espouse these talking points, they keep saying the same thing over and over again, even though we've broken down and examined it. Now, maybe some of the bigger people like Kevin Samuels, they kind of sweep shit underneath the rug. They skirt right past it. You all know I don't skirt past the shit. I'm like, let's examine it. And maybe I don't have an answer that day, but I'll have an answer later on, or I'll re-examine something later on. Like, it's not like it's never a dead conversation. But a lot of black women in this like gender war thing, they think that like when they say something, they think it's final. They think they say something and like they treat a lot of situations like the outcome what is it, what was I say, like they speak on things like what you're seeing as the outcome. It just they're just like that. Like, especially when it comes to black men, they do the exact same thing that white supremacy does. Right? Like, we're not going to, oh, the black community doesn't have any businesses. Well, maybe they would have businesses if you didn't run highways through those communities. Maybe they would have businesses if you didn't burn those communities down to the ground. Right? So anyway, I'm going to get back to her points in a second, because there's a couple of things that she was saying that I want to dismantle. But the overall discussion, I do have an issue with Destiny being in the conversation. These are conversations that black people should be having amongst themselves. I don't think black people need to go do the Vlad thing and go into these white spaces or these white shows with white people who claim to be like these liberal intellectuals and have these discussions with them. I don't. So like right off top, Annalicia is off code with that shit. The other thing that irritates me is I'm a big fan of Abba and Preach. I love the Abba and Preach show, even though I kind of liked it when they only had 11,000 subscribers. Like, I just felt like they were funnier back then than now, where, it's kind of like, the money, the algorithms, and, the messaging, and always making sure you end with a positive, like, but that back then they were just being funny just to be funny. But like now it's like Abba's always got to, give you, the the Mr. Rogers word of the day. And I don't care for that. But the other thing is, I have a problem with Abba speaking. Abba speaking on African American issues. He's not African American. He's a Canadian Somalian. He is a Somalian immigrant. He doesn't come from the legacy of slavery. Okay, he doesn't have the historical trauma or experience the historical trauma of African Americans. Canada is some old other weird shit. Canada has a whole different history. It's like when we talk about the Second Amendment in America versus the non-existent Second Amendment in Canada. They don't have a Second Amendment. Why not? Because they freaking broke away from the crown, not really, through royal ascension, because, they're still the Queen's bitch, or now King Charles's bitch. King Charles is now the head of their military. All right. They're not a free country. I've already talked about all of this before. They are a Commonwealth, a British Commonwealth underneath King Charles, right? But America fought for its freedom. That's why there's a Second Amendment, and the view on guns is way different, because they shot at the redcoats and had them, go back to the UK. Totally different history. So when talking about black people in Canada, many of which come from the Caribbean, and come from, parts of Africa and whatnot. Like if you go to Toronto, that's what you're going to see. Totally different type. These people came here voluntarily, or they were already British subjects. They don't have the same history, and this is the problem I have with people. I understand that they're popular and they're up there, but I have a problem with the way that especially African American men, co-sign on almost on a level of, they can speak for us when it comes to talking about us. I'm like, fuck are you doing? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, this nigga's from Somalia. You know what I'm saying? Like his mother, you know what I mean? She sounds like she's speaking Arabic. You know what I mean? And you know how I feel about my East Africans? Yeah, I'll stand behind some Ethiopians when the Israelis are fucking with them. Like you saw with them, those Israeli police officers beating up on the Ethiopian soldier, right? But at the end of the day, that's about as far as it goes, because I know they don't fuck with us like that. They already have a superiority complex when it comes to Bantu peoples. So they in the black bubble, they're in the black circle, but I keep them at arm's length. You know what I'm saying? And Abba, every so often he takes these pop shots at African Americans and shit. I'm like, nigga, you need to shut the fuck up. You're not African American. Why are you in an African American conversation about African Americans with African American females? Go take your ass back to Canada. I feel the same way about Fresh and Fit. Even with freaking Myron, or AKA Fadil, which is his real name. You know what I'm saying? I'm like that right there, Abba, Fadil, like these niggas is like half Arab. You know what I mean? Like, what issues do they have with their women when they're going to marry their own women? They're going to go and get a bitch with a fucking hijab on, screaming Allahu Akbar. Like, that has nothing to do with us. That's such a far cry from us. It's not even funny. So how can they speak on the in-depth details of the history that African Americans have gone through in America, and then give their opinion on it to white people or black people or black women who want to attack black men, whatever the hell it may be? Why are they speaking on the shit? That's like me sitting there speaking on some shit about, Somali pirates or some shit like that, and how Somalia is a failed state and whatnot. That's like me speaking on that shit. And then Abba be like, oh, well, you don't know the details on that shit. Exactly, motherfucker. So why are you talking about our shit? Like, this shit is irritating as fuck. You know what I'm saying? So you got Fresh and Fit, both of them not African American. Abba and Preach, both of them not African American. So and nobody's gonna say anything about them speaking on us. So that's the whole, and even with this chick Annalicia, I'm like, why are you talking to them about us? You know what I mean? Like you're not gonna get the real deal. You're not gonna get the details of covering the topic. And even people like Kevin Samuels, you're not gonna get the real deal. Again, anytime you get into that monetization and all that shit, I'm telling you, I already told y'all, you're not gonna get the real deal. You're going to get, I got to make sure I hit those algorithm numbers and the algorithm topics and messages first. That's what you're going to get. I don't know what y'all don't get about that. But anyway, there's a couple of things that she said, went back to the, black man abandoning the black woman, classic argument. Black man not taking care of his kids and the Ray-Rays and Pookies, right? So she's like using terminology that is like, moi, right? So one of the things that she brought up, what did she say? I'm trying to recall. It was one key thing that she brought up. It wasn't just the abandonment, the black men about the whole community being a matriarch. And she talked about, the black community, and black men failed and black women, are basically matriarchs because black men failed, right? This is like the classic argument, right? And we've already talked about the outside forces. Black women want to downplay those outside forces, but I'm gonna move right past, the outside forces, right? And I'm gonna dive into, and even like getting into, where black men are today in their relationship with black women and what they don't like about black women and the passport bros and the SYSBM. And I've talked about it, before about this whole power thing, this whole power dynamic. Now, I would like to say that the broken black community has nothing to do with black women being matriarchal. I would like to say that. It's hard not to say that. However, black women have demonstrated on numerous occasions where I can see that the broken black community doesn't have anything to do with why they're matriarchal or why they want to run shit. I've talked about this before when it comes to black women who try to use ancient Africa as to the reason as to why they should be in charge, that Africa was matrilineal or matriarchal and black women were ruling shit and Queen of Sheba, and Queen of Zinga, and therefore black men are out of alignment and they're operating on some Eurocentric standard because how dare they want to be patriarchs and be head of household. That has nothing to do with the community being broken. When these women start talking about Afrocentric, this, that, and the third, trying to justify their leadership, that has nothing to do with the community. I would rather them just say, yeah, the community is broken, and when you all fix it, we'll get with the program. But another thing that tells me it's not about the broken community is the fact that they can't get with a black man who is handling his responsibility on an individual level. I'm like, so let me get this right. So because the black community is broken, because North Philly is broken and there's crimes in North Philly, you mean to tell me that you can't live a comfortable lifestyle and enjoy a lifestyle with a black man that is financially stable in the suburbs? You can't just be with him and raise a suburban black family, right? And then that brings up the question of how many black women were really wanted to be that. How many black women wanted to be, the arm candy on a black man's arm? How many were comfortable with that idea? How many wanted to live in the suburbs, possibly being away from, other black people? Did they really want the black community to be fixed and repaired? What does fixed and repaired look like? Is it ghetto fabulous? Or is it, going back to, the 1920s, like what you see in these black and white videos of Tulsa, Oklahoma? Is it looking like the 1950s when you had these, communities like Central Ave in Tampa, or you had, Black Bottom in Detroit? Like, was it looking like that? What was it looking like? When you want to talk about, these sort of, nuclear families, and intact community, multiple nuclear families, because that's what makes up a community. You got multiple households of multiple men and their family and children. These men are gainfully employed, right? And the neighborhood is relatively safe, if not completely safe, right? And everybody's, basically living well. How many black women wanted to play that role? Because y'all will come online and you say you want to play that role, but we don't really see that. I mean, hell, a lot of you all can't even play that role when it comes to dating and dealing with other races of men. Doesn't even have to be white men. A lot of y'all just don't want to play that role. You're so, I want to be a boss, bitch, diva queen, and everything else. You can't even give up that role, even when a man affords you all of the luxury in the world to essentially be that. Even Karazin destroyed her marriage. She destroyed her marriage. And she was bragging about the conditions of her marriage, claiming that black men could never offer this. And yet her marriage didn't last. So, again, what does that have to do with black men? You see, I dive into the belief systems. Now, like I said, I would like to say that the belief system came from the community being broken. And I'm not going to say that I don't think it played any part at all. You know what I mean? Because it's like you can't separate it. But I'm not going to let black women hide behind that. No more than they would allow a black man who's actually colorist to hide behind, well, I'm not attracted to black women because most black women are fat. That's a true statement. That's a true statement. Like, what is it? 80% of black women are overweight, 60% are obese. Any black man that's a colorist could literally throw that on the table and be like, that's why. And he could have all type of self-hate issues. He could be elevating exoticals and white women and everything else like that. But even that was another thing that she brought up, talking about black men's lust and thirst, for white women. And that's like one of these old ass tropes. And the reality is black men desire exoticals more than they desire white women. The expanded light skin universe. They desire women who look like Annalicia more than they desire white women. So like when I hear shit like that, like I'm like, man, you've been sitting around reading too many Eldridge Cleaver books. That's what your problem is. You know what I mean? Like it's the whole, like, I mean, I watched the transition happen. The Tisha Campbells enter the room. The Vanity from Vanity 6 enter the room. The Darlene Ortiz on Ice-T's his Power album. You know what I mean? That's where, these other non-white women, came into the room, and these racially ambiguous Chili from TLC. We talked about all that. So when I hear a woman jump up and talk about black men's lust for white women over their lust for exoticals, and women that are not white but are, racially ambiguous in different races and cultures and shit like that, you know what I mean? I'm like, you're just regurgitating the shit that you hear because you're not even being accurate about. And maybe it's the fact that she is as light-skinned as she is. So I'm like, you do realize like what box you're in, because you ain't the blackest woman in the world, right? You do realize that, right? It's just weird to me. It's very weird to me. But I'm just saying, like, it's the same thing. Like, a woman that wants power can hide behind, well, the community is broken. Yeah, and a man that's colorist can hide behind black women are fat. Getting into the just the where black men are, we've already discussed it. And even listening to her, the anger, the vitriol, and all this stuff that she's saying, which she gets angry at, I'm like, nah, you got way too much anger behind what you're saying. You know what I mean? And as not even a dark-skinned woman, that's what makes me say, where is this coming from? Right? Like, where is this coming from? Oh, and I remember one of the things that she said that kind of stood out to me. She got to talking about Kevin Samuels. And I'm gonna tell you what made me cringe listening to the show, because they brought up even Destiny, the white dude, brought up Kevin Samuels and his whole, and black women are just not objectively attractive according to Kevin. I was like, cringe. I was like, cringe. See, that's the type of shit that I hated about Kevin Samuels, and like him, just like, I'm like, God damn, man. There ain't no coming back from that. Oh, they're just objectively less, with no details, like just no details. No, hey, if they got their weight down, they'd be some fine motherfuckers. Like, yeah, that at least highlights that you're still attracted to them. But when you just like, they're just objectively less attractive, and no, I talk about the details. I'm like, black women are too damn big. And a lot of black women won't wear the fucking clothes and the outfits that many of these other races of women do wear, that are more feminine and sexy. Heels, stockings, just, things that are more feminine. I've had a number of black women that I've had to have, these type of arguments with, when it comes to, what the hell is this person doing? I've had a number of black women that I've had to have these type of arguments with about, the clothes that they're wearing. I mean, I know there's so many sisters out here, they always want to walk out the house looking like they about to double dutch, and I mean, again, these sort of representations and shit like that, like everybody knows about the sexy Spanish weather girls, right? I mean, that's like a staple with them. And then when it comes to them being able to clean up real good, they go off and they do that. Yeah, she can wear her Jordans and shit, and wear some tight jeans and shit like that. A lot of the Hispanic women adopt black culture, and especially in the New York area and whatnot, the New Yorkers and everything else like that, Dominicans and all that shit, right? The street culture, and it's very similar, very close. It's all, a lot of Hispanics have adopted black culture in many ways, or the styling and shit like that. They still maintain their culture. You know what I'm talking about, like the Cardi B's of the world. Okay, but they still doll themselves up. A lot of sisters, it's like pulling teeth. It's like pulling teeth. So those are areas where I would say, nope, the Hispanic chick got you beat because you won't put on what she put on. Just little shit like that. But you got to detail that. You don't just come in the room, oh, they're just objectively less attractive. Okay, but she brought up the point. Hold on, it's like eluding me. Okay, sorry about that pause. It slipped my mind, and I had to go back. So she's up there. I had to go back and listen. She was talking about single mothers and black men hating single mothers, and it kind of blows me away. I've talked about this before. This time continuum when it comes to black men. There's no time continuum when it comes, like, stop talking about black men like we're talking about one individual that is 300 years old. You know what I'm saying? Like, regardless of whatever, okay, like the idea, like, yes, today's black men are talking shit about single mothers. I'm with a black woman slamming the fuck out of a black man who's talking about single mothers when they are the creator of single mothers, Dennis, right? I'm with them all day, every day when it comes to that shit. But when you're talking about young, childless men, which for some reason we can never specify, because apparently black women want to act like these men don't exist. Oh, they got all the right in the world to talk about single mothers. Their mother is a single mother. Their mother is not somebody that they're trying to date. That's not somebody. What don't y'all understand about that? That's like that. In other words, that's like suggesting that because a black woman had a father who has multiple baby mamas and she's just one of the children, she should also want to be with a black man that has multiple baby mamas. Huh? What if she says, I don't approve of the actions of my father. I don't like that shit. And then black women are always playing this game about them being abandoned by a man, and being left pregnant. But the vast majority of these sisters are not. I'd say this started in the 90s. The vast majority of that, well, actually, we can go back to 1986 with that video, that PBS special from 1986, where those black girls sat right there and said, I don't think black men are substantial to the family. We could go right back to the mid 80s. And so, what was I gonna say about that? About the women always playing victim on this shit, but it's not like they're getting married and like the black man proposes to her, gets down on one knee, marries her, and then 3 months of marriage, and then the dude just walks out the door. That's not what's going on out here. There's zero sexual responsibility when black women get pregnant, even though they're running around bitching about Roe v. Wade and my body, my choice, all this shit. They want all the, and then see, this goes back to that whole power thing. Wanting power, wanting autonomy. Again, I direct you to that Don Napoleon Cat Fu video. It's right in there. It's right in there. They want power. They want autonomy, which is fine. Even Aisha K. Faines wanted power, wanted autonomy. That's fine. But you got to recognize what comes with power and autonomy. You cannot maintain power and autonomy and be in a position of privilege. And that's what it seems like a lot of women want. They want to be, as we used to say, the power of men, the privileges of women, and the responsibilities of neither. And everybody sees it. Everybody sees it. This younger, I mean, I don't even know what black women want from black men at this point. Especially the black men that are smart enough to be, childless and focus on improving themselves. You know what I mean? Like, because it's like they're pissed off that they don't have a pool of beta males to reach back into anymore. Because today's young men, today's men, it's like that kid with that clip with that sweet ass black dude. The one where it was like the clip that I use where it was talking about coming to work and you get unlimited PTO and where it's $150,000 and everything, and he was like, oh, but is this job remote? And they were like, oh no, unfortunately he just fucking slammed the laptop. And that's literally what it's like now in the dating game, where it's like, dude, here's chicks got kids, yeah, I don't have no kids, but slam the laptop. I'll do anything not to have to deal with that situation. These women are mad about this. And the fact of the matter is I'm like, you got with the guy that you wanted. You got with the guy that you desired. And this is a key point. And Abba, I'll give him to his credit. He did touch on this, slightly about men telling women to increase their standards does have a lot to do with character. And yes, it does have to do with finances as well, but not to the point that a woman's like, well, I think I deserve a millionaire. Like that's extreme. That's extreme. And women are like trying to play dumb, like they don't know what it means for a man, to raise their standards. Now, and then they'll use whatever dusty they can use that basically, doesn't have anything going on and is telling her that she's got to submit to him with nothing. And they'll try to run with that. Nah, chick. Why are you even using that, dude? Because you ain't trying to date a dude like that. But see, the thing is they don't want to date guys that are in that average ballpark. I like a Cap came up with a phrase the other day. It's not even livable wage. That I wouldn't even suggest a woman just get with a guy that just has a livable wage. That's too vague of a term. I like the term that we were just joking, but he was like house buying wages. I was like, oh yeah. I was like, that's what we talking about. House buying wages. Yeah. Black woman needs to be with a black man that has house buying wages. That should be the benchmark. But the thing is, and here's the biggest problem, and this is to was it Annalicia? This is to her. This is the biggest issue and why, we all run in a brick wall with this shit. Why women fail to understand this crap. Okay, it is very difficult for black men to see all this value in black women when now in 2022 they're making all these demands. And yes, some women are making ridiculous demands. My cookies is worth it. I got 3 kids and I feel I deserve a man that's making $325,000. What? Just insane shit. But I'm saying getting away from the insane shit. The problem is, unfortunately, and this is where black women, it's like they want to play the victim. I'm like, I don't know how you're going to, because in, the 90s, gangster rap was taking off. Yes, a lot of those men had money that were selling drugs illegally, and it was all good until they got locked up. But going back to Annalicia's point about, black women were unable to, because black men are weak and they're unable to basically have the white suburban female lifestyle. I'm like, okay, explain to me where getting with a black man that was a drug dealer or engaged in legal activity was going to equal that suburban lifestyle that you throw up as a standard or a staple when you're trying to slam black men as it pertains to what they can't provide. Where was getting with dudes like Tupac and having, that sort of lifestyle? Like, oh, so you're going to be with Tupac and you're going to come out of the kitchen with your apron and and baking cookies and shit. And the kids are playing around with icing all over their face. Like, really? That goes hand in hand? You know what I'm saying? Where does all of the thug desirability and these sort of stable Bill Cosby Huxtable homes function in the same space? So all through the 90s and the early 2000s, I'm thinking that dude on Instagram, time traveling back to 2005, right? I'm thinking of that dude. The guys walking around, baggy pants, oversized jerseys, fucking, sweat headbands like Nelly and shit in Country Grammar. You know what I'm saying? Like we watched all that shit go down. Y'all went out here and y'all were having these dudes babies. Women were sharing these dudes. You know what I'm saying? And the shit didn't work out. And now you got a new generation of young men that they want to do it the right way. And that's like the whole thing. And that's part of the issue I have with charging, one generation of black men's actions on another generation. Yeah, and the thing with black women is they think that they can constantly fall back on this trope of the dysfunctional black man each and every generation. Even when you got men saying, hey, I'm not going for that. I'm not doing that. Most of these brothers that are running around talking about passport bros, they don't have any fucking kids. They wouldn't even be able to do that if they had freaking responsibilities. I'm saying the vast majority of them, not all of them. Some of them, I don't even know how they're doing it. They, you always get some delusional dude that thinks he can do what a young man can do, that has that not only the financial freedom, but also has the lack of responsibilities to go off and do shit like that. I've seen the videos all over YouTube. These brothers are traveling. And it's so funny. I'm like, I thought these guys that were even capable of doing that didn't exist. Again, I think that a lot of black women, they suffer from bummanigatosis. I think they gravitate towards dusty niggas because, it gives them leverage in the relationship. If you want power, get with a dude that doesn't have his shit together. That's the perfect dude to get with because he doesn't have his shit together. That he is perfect to get with. But you go out here and you get with a guy that has his shit together, then you start getting into all these other areas where she feels inadequate. In her circle of sisters, you know what I mean? She wants to claim that she's a boss bitch or that she built a nigga or something like that, or trying to fight, the shit with the alongside with the feminist and whatnot. You know what I mean? So now if she gets with a guy that's actually handling responsibility, somehow it turns into that she's oppressed and that somebody's got a knee on her neck. But aren't we having a discussion about how to be a suburban white woman in the 1950s, right? I mean, that y'all are bitching like, yes, and you all can't offer that. But then when a black man can offer that, then it turns into, he's got his knee on your neck and it's oppression and shit like that. I'm like, goddamn, again, now we're back to the, hypergamous equality, back and forth. When it's equal, she's bitching, it's not hypergamy. She's not dating up. But when she's dating up, then she starts filing complaints that it's oppressive to her as a woman. I'm like, you can't have it both ways. You know what I'm saying? And this is, I mean, this is as honest as a discussion as you can get. You know, and when it comes to like black men looking out and looking at other races of women and not wanting to deal, you know, with sisters, the type of anger that Annalicia has, you know, I wouldn't walk into that. She ain't never go. A black man could be, you could drop a perfect black man off in front of her and you're still going to hear some shit like, well, y'all need to win a race war. See, anytime a woman is talking all that collective shit, you know what I mean? That's like dropping, like my issue is black women are overweight. And you drop Jazz McKendrick right in front of me. And I sit there and I go, yeah, but the majority of black women are fat. Jazz McKendrick ain't hardly fat. As a matter of fact, she's closer to being underweight. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, again, in terms of her beauty, her being attractive, her being sexy, it's like dropping Aisha K. Faines in front of me, and I sit there and I'm like, yeah, but you got Precious. Precious ain't here right now, nigga. Aisha K. Faines is in front of you. What's the problem? You know what I mean? Like like again, I think a lot of black women just want to stay in a constant state of complaining about black men. Like she even said it. She was like, even if I was with a white man, I could complain about black men. Why would you though? If you were with a white man, why would you sit there and complain about black men? Why wouldn't you just go off and be happy? That's what destroyed Karazin's marriage. See, there's something wrong with you. Not just something wrong with black men. There's something wrong with you. And even if you went off and you got with a black man that had his shit together, you'd what? Still be running around bitching about the community? Like, this is what we don't even, yes, we understand the black community is broken. A lot of things have happened to the black community. But if you're going to fix the black community, it starts with having a loving, caring, heteronormative, cisgendered, nuclear black family. That's where it starts. So if you can't even start with step A, which is to get with a black man that is to your liking, to your level of respect and everything else, if you can't even get with him and follow and cooperate with him, unless you're suggesting the black community be matriarchal, which I highly suspect many of these women are. They want patriarchy, but to black female matriarchal specifications. If you can't even get with that, we don't have a starting point. The black community is going to be broken because you can't get. I present you with here's a black doctor, here's a black lawyer, here's a black executive, and you doo-doo on it. What can I say at that point? If you're going to doo-doo on the men that are most qualified to turn around. Now, you can still file a complaint and say, hey, I got with this brother, you know, he's providing a comfortable lifestyle, but I wish these black men would work work together more, you know, so that we could, you know, basically grow, you know, the community in terms of, you know, having it be, you know, more financially sound and effective and everything else. Like again, you know, if you want a black supermarket in the black community, yeah, you might need two black men, you know, who are solid, who have solid foundations to work together towards, you know, the finances that are all involved in establishing a black supermarket, you know, that serves a black community if you're more community focused. But the thing is seriously speaking, how community focused were all these sisters in the 90s and the early 2000s when they were running around thug chasing and having these guys babies that were in and out of jail? I can't stand when these women want to sit there and talk about all our black men are in jail and they want to bitch about jail and shit like that. But so many of our black women are attracted to that and think that shit is sexy. They think that shit is attractive. But yet they come online and they want to act like, oh, I don't date thugs. Oh, I don't like that. I'm not bullshit. We see you, and then on top of that, the babies are evidence. I don't know how many women called in Kevin Samuel's show. Okay, well, who's the first baby daddy? They're like, where's he at? He's in jail. He's in jail. That tells me everything to know about what the fuck you was fucking with. You'd be hard pressed to go out here and find some brother with a professional degree who's in jail. You see, so everybody's tired of these women lying. And I'm saying, while black women think that they're throwing black men under the bus, making themselves look good, they're not. Because other groups, other races of men fucking see it, which goes directly back to why you don't see a lot of fucking racial interactions between white men and black women. And quiet as it's kept, you don't see white men and Hispanic women. You don't see a whole bunch of that. Cap ran that shit by a freaking Latina woman in New York, and she was like, "Oh, I'll tell you why. Mira coño." He was like, "Mira coño." He's like, the fuck?" Which means like, it's like, look, bitch. Right? And she was like, yeah, she's like, the attitude. We got attitude. We don't control our pregnancies. We just go out here, regardless of the dude's resources. We're going to have that baby. You know, he was like, oh, he's like, yeah, that's one. But then she also said the other thing, you know, is just, you know, just the overall attitude. And the difference, I've seen people draw these parallels between Latinas and black women, and what's the difference when it comes to black women and their attitude and all this other stuff, and Hispanic women. Yeah, Hispanic women, you know, they'll get loud with you and all that shit, but they won't grab the steering wheel. Black women will get loud with you, embarrass you, yell, all that shit. Same way, but they will try to grab the steering wheel. So, like, if a Latina doesn't like some shit that you do, you know, she'll tell you about it, and you need to go off and correct that. And she's gonna let you correct that shit. Black women, on the other hand, no, it's you fucked this up. Now it's time for me to grab the steering, and they will grab the fucking steering wheel. They're not even gonna give you the time to correct whatever it is that they didn't like. I don't have any problem with women being problem identifiers. I have a problem where a woman comes through and she tries to be a problem solver, especially if you're standing right there. And then when it comes to women to say, well, what if a man is he's not a problem solver? Well, then why are you in a relationship with him? And especially, why did you have a baby by him? Well, what if a man is not qualified to lead? If a man is not qualified to lead, then he's not qualified for you to be in a relationship with him. See, y'all think y'all slick. You think you can go out here and you can get with dusty niggas, broke niggas that's unqualified to lead, and then somehow you use that as to the reason to justify your leadership. No, bitch, I'm on to you. That's why you get with dudes like that, so that you can complain about them later, justify your leadership, and then even if you fail in your own leadership, you can go and point back and say, well, he didn't do what he was supposed to do. This is why a lot of you all avoid men that have their shit together. You avoid them. You know, just again, I go back to freaking Carl, you know, with Aisha K. Fain sitting up there. You know what I mean? Carl was like, well, it sounds to me, if you want power, you need to date, you know, men, like beta men, the subordinate man. She called an attitude. You know, I don't date nothing but powerful men. How is that even possible, chick? You see, because women don't like the way that sounds. You know, that like you're getting with a weak man. No, he's not weak. He's not weak. But he is weak. He is weak if he's following you. He's not weak. He's not weak. And then they try to make it like, they try to twist it around and try to make it like it's this equality thing they got going on. Right. And mind you, this is at the same time that they just filed the complaint of, we can't do what white women do. We can't just be in the suburbs and be on some Leave It to Beaver shit. I'm like, she wasn't running shit. She wasn't pulling out the dick. She wasn't trying to be a boss bae. She wasn't doing any of that shit. You know, so, you know, like I said, sister's on some other shit. You know, and brothers don't, you know, again, yeah, it looks like, oh, well, black men failed and the community's broken and everything else. Like, yeah, black women, it's the perfect excuse. I'll give y'all that. It is the perfect, and I mean perfect excuse to say that the community is broken, and that's why you all are the way that you are. But like I said, just like I raised my eyebrow to that, you know, y'all would raise your eyebrow if I took a black man that was colorist and I let him hide his colorism behind the fact that, oh, well, black women are just overweight. And see, if you were going to prove that he was colorist, what would you do? You would present him with a black woman that was attractive, right? And see what he does. See if he rejects it or not. Now, clearly, since he's colorist, he most likely is going to reject it. And then you can jump up and be like, aha, Exactly. And I do the same damn thing. Y'all said, oh, the community is, bro. Okay, well, here's a brother that's established, got his shit going on. You know what I mean? All you got to do is, find other women that have your mindset and link them up with other brothers that have the same mindset, and y'all can move forward. And then that's where you start seeing that's where you start seeing all the hesitation. That's where you start seeing all the excuse making. That's where and I'm like, you don't really want this. You want to complain about it, but you don't really want this because you don't like the dynamics that come along with it. And then it just becomes this constant circular argument about, black men not doing X, Y, and Z. And then when they're doing X, Y, and Z, then you'll claim that it's oppression. Or you'll try to find something wrong with what he's doing. It's like, we've talked about this in circles, but black women are still coming online like, oh, say the problem is the black man and they abandon and this, that, and the they don't even realize how silly they make themselves look. Especially when we go out here and we crunch the numbers and the vast majority of black men don't even have a child, are single and not in relationships. But yet the black women's complaint is that they got all these babies, all these untaken care of children. Who are you having all these untaken care of children with? That's right. Like I say before, 90% of women having sex with 10% of dudes. And the 10% of dudes are the dudes with the game and the swag and the illegal money. Those are the desirable black men. Black women like Alicia. Again, to me, she don't look black to me. She looks Spanish, but Alicia and her talking points, I'm like, nah, you all are only complaining about a very small percentage of black men. A very small percent. Hell, even when it comes to the percentage of men who are, in jail, is a very small percentage of the black community. I mean, I was talking to somebody, I posted on the community tab, months ago about there's 675,000 black people in the city of Philadelphia. And city of Philadelphia, let's just say on average, they have about 400 murders. And let's say each murder was one person. So that's 400 murderers, right? And let's just say they're all black. Fuck it. 100% of the black murderers are black in the city of Philadelphia. Even though, like, when it comes to gun violence, I think it's like 85% nationally, right? 85% of all gun homicides are the perpetrators are black. Okay, fuck it. But I'm gonna make it 100%. And I'm saying you take that 400 and you divide it by 675,000, you get like 1/10,000th of a percent. You know what I'm saying? You get an astronomically small number. But yet, because people watch they run around and tell you, oh, it's just that America is Baghdad. And that's the narrative that they push, but it's not like the people that are running around like every day they're ducking bullets. Yeah, if you live in the deepest, darkest depths of some of the worst areas in the country, you know what I mean? Yeah, you just might be, but the vast, overwhelming majority of people don't live in a war zone. They simply do not. You know what I mean? I conceal carry all the damn time, but when I conceal carry, right? The chances of me actually using the damn thing are low, especially where I go and where I travel. Now, if I wanted to sit there and say, I want to use my gun tonight, I know what I'll do. I'll go to the gas station in North Philly by myself at 3:43 in the morning. You know what I'm saying? And just stand there and pump my gas. Yes. And just wish for something bad to happen, right? Fuck around and find out, right? If I wanted to be a vigilante, I could easily do that, right? Make sure my car is all shiny and fucking waxed and everything else, and then just go into a bad area and just be there. So again, like these sort of, these sort of over the top, like it all like rings of white supremacists running around with their freaking, their racist talking points. And it's sad because it's all tied back, in my opinion, to a lot of these women who don't want to be accountable. Again, see, people don't know how to respond to this shit. See, I use what sisters say against them. I'm like, you just said this, so then that means this, right? Again, I'm like, you're talking about, men not, and they having babies and being abandoned and everything. Yeah, but all these men don't have any kids. So who are you sleeping with? And again, like I said, women sharing dudes. Or the women, or my favorite type of woman, the woman that says, oh, he never had his shit together. But I'm like, but you have 3 children by him. Like, they don't get it. They think they're throwing him underneath the bus. But I'm like, so he never had his shit together, and you had the first child with him, even though he didn't have his shit together before you had the first child with him, and then you popped out 2 more with him. I'm like, the problem ain't him, boo-boo. It's not him. I mean, I'm not saying he's not a problem. He clearly is a problem. But I'm saying you're facilitating him being a problem. You know what I'm saying? Like you're what's the word that I'm looking for? Somebody's gonna say it in the comment section. You know what I'm saying? You're helping. You're an accomplice to his bullshit. But see, because we've created this sort of, this coddling space for women, right? It'll never be about, her part in that. It's always going to be, nah, see, he dusty, and that's what niggas are, and that's their reputation. And I'm saying the fact that black women are so intellectually dishonest about, and they're so quick to throw black men underneath the bus, even when they make some of the worst and egregious decisions, that's why we really don't have any real spiritual connection with y'all. Because we know that we're going to be thrown underneath the bus. We know that y'all don't come out and defend us like that. You know what I mean? Even when it comes to, like, y'all want to sit there and black women out there marching and all this other shit. And again, just like Black Lives Matter, using black men's bodies and then running off with some LGBT organization that excludes black males. Y'all don't do that shit for us. Y'all do that shit more for y'all, so that you can be in the spotlight, so that you can be a warrior and a fighter and everything else like that, and get praise and accolades and all that shit. That shit ain't for us. Because as soon as we get into the relationship part, then it turns into why you can't follow, why you can't cooperate. Oh, we don't believe in you. We don't have faith in all this other shit. How long do you think black men are going to sit around listening to that crap and want to kiss you on the mouth? Want to lay up in bed with you and shit like that? Especially motherfuckers that haven't done anything to you. We don't have kids. I love when black women run around talking about rape and pillage and, who has, black men leaving. Bitch, I ain't got no kids. And niggas in jail. Bitch, I ain't never been to jail. I ain't never been so much as handcuffed, bitch. Fuck you talking about. You know what I'm saying? Like they constantly want to go to that default setting and file that complaint. I love when they try that shit with me. Cause unlike the black men that many of you all do deal with, I don't feel like I owe you a goddamn thing. Nothing. Cause I haven't done anything to you. I take pride in not having done anything to you. I love the fact that I haven't done anything to you. Because when you try that classic bullshit that you get away with shaming Pookie and the motherfuckers that know that they got some kids out there somewhere or some other bullshit, that shit doesn't work on me. It doesn't work on me. I'm like, well, hey, chick, that's between you and dude. Ain't got nothing to do. But you a black man. Yeah, I'm a black man, but that ain't got nothing to do with me. That's who you laid up with. You need to go. I'm with you. I hear your anger. You need to go file that shit with him. I'm just telling you how I feel about the fact that so many of you all out here and you got these situations going on that ain't got nothing to do with fucking me. And I'm tired of, not being able to throw a rock without hitting a single mother. I'm tired of that shit. And then the minute I go over the fence where there are less single mothers, even though those numbers are rising and shit like that, then I get accused of all type of self-hatred and all this other bullshit. When I go to other communities where women are more cooperative and ain't trying to pull the dick out every 5 seconds on your ass, so I'm self-hating and all this other bullshit. Yeah, we get tired of that crap. Y'all want to just cling on to this trope of this evil 300-year-old black man, which doesn't even make sense, because the closer you get to the fucking beginning of the 20th century, the more intact the black community was. That's the funny part. The black community didn't start looking the way it does now until about the 1970s. So, what we're looking at right now, I gotta remember what year it is, but what we're looking at right now is only about fucking 60 years old? You see what I'm saying? Or would that be 50 years old? 50 years old. So that's within the generation of either your mother or your grandmother where this shit went full retard. When y'all want to sit there and black men ain't never had nothing, they never built nothing, and coming out of slavery and all. It's funny because white people sure burned down and demolished a whole bunch of shit that black men apparently never built. That's real funny. And again, the further you go back and the closer you get to the year 1900, the more intact the black, the shit that sisters are saying today wouldn't even apply. It was in the 70s where all this shit really fucking fell off. And what happened in the 70s? Oh, that's right. The welfare state underneath Nixon. So again, y'all arguments, your feminist bell hooks, Alice Walker, Mr. from the Color Purple, get the fuck out of here with this shit. This is why we are just out. We are like, yo, we gotta leave, man. These women are too far gone. Those movies and all that shit went straight to their head. And they're so frustrated because, the worst kind of black men, the black men that just, the media machine got behind them and gassed their heads up and everything, the way that they were represented and symbolized and became sex gods and all that. And y'all was creaming in your pants too. You was y'all was creaming and everything. Y'all was sitting on these motherfucking dicks. When Cap told me that story about that dude in prison bragging about how he fucked the chick, he went and visited somebody in prison and was talking about a child that they had, and the dude was bragging to Cap about how, right over there, see that bench right over there? We made a kid right over there. So she went into prison and was fucking this nigga on one of the park benches in prison, commissary style, and she got pregnant with a dude in fucking prison. I don't know what type of golden rod that these motherfuckers got. I can't relate to this shit. You know what I mean? I don't know what type of pipe these dudes are laying down. You know what I mean? Like, you got guys out here, we're not even in prison. You know what I'm saying? And we can't seem to maintain or hold, a healthy relationship and shit. We can't keep y'all interest long enough. But yet you got women showing up in prison, sitting on a nigga's lap, getting pumped up full of his semen. I'm like, ain't this a bitch? And y'all got his baby and you come out and then you want to just smear this broad categorization about black men when you got a whole category, 90% of which are black men that you ain't even trying to fuck. You ain't even attracted to him. He too skinny. He too lame. He ain't this. He ain't that. And then you get into that compensatory, like where you compensate, where it's like, yeah, I'm not really into him, so he needs to have a lot of money in order for me to fuck with him. And I mean a lot. I think a lot of the ridiculously high numbers that sisters throw up have a lot to do with that. The fact that they ain't even really moved by these guys. Because, and that's another thing when it comes to them increasing their standards and all that other shit, because it's like, you come online, you're like, and black men say that we need to increase our standards and everything. And yet it is a hard pill. A lot of us are talking about, character. And yes, you shouldn't date a dude that's just completely broke, but it doesn't, it hits a different way when you're sitting there and you're like, so now she's making all these demands, even though I saw her giving her everything to this dude off of the strength of nothing. Off of the strength of nothing. This dude didn't have a car. She was sucking this nigga's dick. This dude didn't have a place to fuck her. She was sitting on his lap. You know what I'm saying? She had this nigga's babies. You know what I mean? Just moved by a nigga. You know what I mean? The motherfucker out there fucking other bitches, and she's still loyal and faithful and can't get enough of this dude. And then when it comes to, option number 2, which is, the beta male camp, which is how many of you all view, the regular average dudes out here, because they don't got clout in the streets and everything else. Now you want to come through and you want to make all these fucking demands and rules, and we got to do all this extra shit and jump through hoops and everything. It's like what I said. I had a brother, who was a day trader, and he was telling me about how he had this boot camp. He was trying to teach people how to day trade and how they were getting frustrated and everything. And a lot of black people that he was teaching, came out of the church. And I said, you know what your problem is? I was like, I'll tell you what it is. Because they wasted all that time in church sitting up there praising white Jesus and everything. Again, people go to church because they're looking for real changes in their own lives. And so they go up in the church and they're looking for all these real changes and shit. And they spend years dumping all of their energy into the Bible and Jesus and everything. And then when they finally get done with that shit, and they're ready to make some real money, and they come across a brother like you, they want to make up for lost time. They're like, nah, I need you got to do everything. You know what I'm saying? And this even happens. I've seen sisters, not seen, but heard of sisters. That white guy that I talked to, he's dated black women before. And he brought this point up that he's dated black women, that when they get on a date with him, they order all the most expensivest shit. Right? They go in there and they just want I want lobster. I want 2 lobsters. I want, what is your most expensive wine? I want to have your most expensive wine. And we talked about it for a little bit. And what it came down to was kind of like, reparations for slavery. Yeah, I'm a black woman and the world owes me something. And yeah, this white guy, he's going to fucking pay for it. And I told him, I was like, don't feel bad about that, because they make us do the same thing. When they're done with Pookie, or Pookie is done with them, whichever order it happens in, oh yeah, we got to pay. We got to pay. It's all sorts of, I want to be treated this way. And because the nigga that they gave everything to and wasted so much time with, she gave him her everything. But now we supposed to pay for this shit. Fuck that. And that's what guys are saying. The guys are like, you know what? I'm done with dating or dealing with damaged people. Okay, and we do have a lot of disproportionately damaged sisters. Well, how do black women get so damn? Well, you only want to fuck with 10% of dudes. You only want to fuck with the dudes that have the absolute most options. I mean, it's the way that women's brains work. It's like, hey, I'm single. Hey, I'm not with anybody. Hey, I'm single. Must mean nobody wants you. It's like, goddamn. I'm just single. Nah, nobody wants you. Then, hey, I'm fucking this chick, and I'm over here, and I'm fucking this other chick. This is a black woman's brain. I wonder what those other women find interesting about him. I think I will find out. I think I'll sit on his cock and find out. It's like, really? The motherfucker already got 3 other bitches. He can't possibly. No. He will recognize how awesome of a woman I am, and I will steal him from these other women. I'm like, really? But he's already fucking around with. So what makes you think that he's going to be faithful to you? I'm special. Then they go in there, get fucking dicked over and everything. And then it turns into, you black men out here, you're the reason. Bitch, you wasn't sitting on my cock. I was single, remember? I was single and nobody wanted me, remember? But now all of a sudden, you guys, I mean, talk about getting accused of pussy you ain't never had. You guys, that shit is wild. That shit is wild. You know, and I'm saying this from a perspective of a man that was smart enough to get his ass in the gym. And so, you know, I've seen both sides a little bit. I've been the dude that women wanted to sit on the cock. Only difference with me is I ain't the one getting you pregnant. You know what I'm saying? And on top of that, ain't gonna be no, rape and pillage my ass. We went out, we went to dinner, we went to this event, we went to that event, we had a good night, you got fucked, you fucked me, it was mutual, and it just didn't work out. You know what I mean? But you got other guys out here that I already know. Other guys out here that they not pushing 6'5". You know what I mean? They're not hitting the gym. They don't look like a fucking football player. You know what I mean? And the way that black women talk, you know what I mean? I'm like, I really feel bad for those guys because I already know that they weren't getting in where they fit in. They weren't getting anything. I already know that. Y'all women, you all focus on a small fraction of men because you're women. You have a totally different, humans, in my opinion, aren't really different than many of the other mammals in the animal kingdom. You know what I mean? Rams button heads and shit like that. May the best ram win. Button heads and deer locking horns and shit and whatnot. Until, and whoever's the most alpha gets the fucking female. Same with lions and all this other shit. Yeah, I get to fuck all these bitches. Gorillas, all that stuff. Human women are the same goddamn way. And that is just the way that it is. I'm not sitting here arguing like women should change, their behavior. But what I will not tolerate is women coming online and bitching and complaining and filing all these irrelevant fucking complaints that completely go against their actual human nature. No, this is the way that you are. And women need to accept it and men need to accept it. This is the way that women are. And now that we know that, men need to operate accordingly. But the way that women come online and file these complaints like they're like, what are you're victims to your own female nature? Why don't you come on and just say that? But y'all don't come on and say that. You say, it's men's fault. It's men's fault. It's men's fault that I only want the top 10% and there aren't enough guys that are 6'5" to go around. It's men's fault. You know what I mean? 6'5", shit, I think it's only something like 14% of men are over 6 foot. So what do you think the percentage is when you get to 6'5"? You know what I mean? Shit is just nuts. You know what I mean? I'm gonna be feeding the fuck out of my son. I'm gonna be feeding the fuck out of him with freaking Flintstone vitamins and shit like that. Get you some calcium and some vitamin D, because God forbid you're not tall, son. Hopefully you get my genes, but God forbid if you're not tall. Jeez, the way these women talk. Again, I would have already proved it. Y'all running around here, y'all sharing men, Future, Nick Cannon, NBA Youngboy, you know what I'm saying? Y'all out here sharing dudes, Shorty Low, sharing dudes. And y'all come online, black men, just blanket label. You know what I'm saying? So again, I already know I'll end up addressing this, months down the road, because some other woman's gonna come out talking crazy. You know what I mean? But nah, this shit needs to be called out. It needs to stop. Okay? Your arguments they fall on their face. Plain and simple. I'm covering this for the umpteenth time. It will be filed and it will be documented on YouTube and it will be archived and other people will save it and everything else. So that they actually have, the arguments to mount against this shit. Because I think that black women's behavior needs to change along with a lot of other women, but they're not my concern. Absolutely. Absolutely. You know what I mean? The extreme, it's not an issue with female nature. It's an issue where, in modern times, the shit has become so extreme. So extreme. I'm not telling you need to get with a dude that's making, $30,000 a year, but I'm also not going to listen to you talk about how, you only going to date men that are making $500,000 a year. I'm not going to listen to that. I could tolerate it from a woman that was fine as hell. You running around looking like Six the Goddess, and especially if Six the Goddess didn't have any kids. I'm saying, fuck it. Six the Goddess, even with having kids, it's up to the individual man as to whether he wants to deal with that. She's already had offers before because she's so fucking fine. It's like, damn, if I'm going to take on the responsibility of your kid or whatever, I'm like, chick, I need to get something out of it. And she got a whole bunch of beauty and sexiness and fineness, you know what I mean, to bring to the table to make any man blush. Have her on his arm walking through a casino or walking through on a cruise or everything and whatnot. Because everybody in the world don't know who Six the Goddess is. They're not going to all look at her and be like, oh, she's a single mother, blah, 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 blah. No, that's not going to be their first thought. Their first thought is going to be like, God damn, that's a fine bitch. That's a fine bitch. They get their whole reaction. Six the Goddess knows how fucking fine she is. She knows. They just need to make her a fucking spy and shit and be like, Vladimir Putin, give me the codes. You know what I'm saying? Like this, I'm just saying, they just need to just that's dangerous. That's just dangerous. Motherfuckers be falling off they square. I will not date a single mother. Motherfuckers be talking that shit. I'm like, oh, really? It's like the king in remember that movie, the Beowulf movie with the CGI and shit like that, and fucking Beowulf came back from the cave. Angelina Jolie was the dragon and shit. He came back from the cave and he was like, and what did you see in the cave? Did you see her? And you just, yes, and the beast was hideous and notice that. And that king, he smirked and he was like, yeah, motherfucker, that bitch was not, we both know that she was finer than a motherfucker. And he, jumped through him the crown and then jumped out the window. Like, the curse is lifted. That shit was hilarious to me. Like, because Beowulf actually tried to sit up there and lie about it. He was like, yeah, man, I slew the beast. And he's like, yeah, motherfucker, you know as well as I know, because I was up in it too. Like, nah, that's a fine bitch up in that cave. It's not what you thought it was. I'm like, oh man, I thought that scene was just hilarious. But anyway, I need to end this video because I've been talking long enough. Again, I think what I'm going to talk is Dear Annalicia, because her arguments just fall flat on the face. They're the same tired, kerosene, Brooklyn Blue type of arguments we've heard a million times. You know what I mean? There's a bunch of other women in there who will remain unnamed that spout the same bullshit. And we're done with it. We're tired of it. But anyway, that's all I got to say for y'all. That's all I got. That's my video. SWP out.